Well, hello there. This is Linda Borghi from Farmyard. And as you guys know, you are just one seed away from what you say. Well, so much we can't even count it on all our fingers and all our toes. I thank you for listening to this podcast. This podcast is supported by Farm a Yard's Mighty Network, and I'll give you all that information in the show notes. And this is episode 2022, which signifies the second episode in the year 2020. I have a lot to podcast about, but things are happening, situations are rising in my life personally that's just bringing me right back to kind of like where I began. So, as some of you know, I am farming an eggplant factory in Brooksville, Florida. It's my cousin's eggplant factory. Been there 18 years, Mr. G's Foods. And I've been here in Florida since February. And he processes close to 700 bushels of eggplant a month, and that includes 700 boxes and about 400 brown paper bags of either flour or breadcrumbs. Okay, that's what's going through his waste stream. Waste, but it's organic material. So I have been really scraping my brain saying, I know that there's something that could be done with it, but I could not remember. Then, about 10 days ago, the light bulb went off in my head, and I said, Lonnie, I had to call my friend Lonnie up in Cragsmore because I remembered that she was connected to a biogas organization, a biodigester, turning organic material into power, okay, gas. So I called Lonnie, and within 3 minutes, she hooked me right up and gave me the name of Kathy Puffer. Now, Lonnie had spoken about Kathy many times, but this happened right as I was leaving that region, okay? So I contacted Kathy, and I have to tell you, I am going to put the story of her homestead in the show notes. And when I read the story of her homestead, it brought me back to my 30s. And she has so much information to share with us that I don't think that this is going to just be one podcast. I think we're going to have to break this one up in episodes. But because it's all about me, this episode is about biodigestion. Kathy, are you there, honey? Let's
Thank
see.
you so much for that wonderful introduction. I am so happy to be joining you today, and thank you so much for inviting me. And I'm so appreciative that our friend Lonnie had introduced us.
That's just great. I think it's just so superb. You know, I want to start with the questions. And what I had said to the listeners is I believe we need to break this up into different areas, but because I want to know about biodigestion, like immediately, that's what I want to start with. But I do want you to tell everyone what got you started with homesteading.
Well, when my oldest child was 3.5 years old, she was diagnosed with autism. And for me as a mom, like cognitively, I was thinking like, well, I'm a special ed teacher. I have a background in speech. I'm a full-time speech pathologist. This is no problem. I know all the best therapies for my child. But as I started peeling that onion back, learning about what are the other issues that she had with her digestion, neurocognition, and how her gut and her brain were connected together, and her microbiome wasn't where it should have been. I started to become very overwhelmed, thinking like, okay, I know all these great teaching therapies, but I have no clue what to do to help improve her microbiome. And my pediatrician is a wonderful down to earth person. He's like, well, why don't you just get into gardening? And just by her getting the hands in the soil and interacting with animals and nature is going to help that microbiome. And I was like, okay, that's great. So I know I had just jumped in head first, really not knowing what I was doing. I just knew that I had to do it because my child's health was depending on that transition. And I think if you're a mom and you're told this is what you need to do to help your child, you will do anything to try to make it work. And I had lots of failures and lots of kerfuddles starting off, but I mean, where I am today, and we were talking about this, is a completely different place than what I was before. And my heart is that I love working with other moms, women, to start this journey maybe a little bit more gently than I did, and starting with good foundation instead of like having to do it as if you are in a crisis. And I think about where we are right now, where our world is right now, and how we are kind of in this crisis mode. And it is very difficult to start when you're in a crisis, but still, it is always a good time to start. And I think the most important thing is that we choose to start.
I agree. I agree. I agree 100%. Let me put my video on. I agree 100%. I mean, just reading your story, you're buying the homestead and now you're going to garden, and then you go out and you plant fruit trees, and no one taught you that you needed to grow soil. If we don't have information, like myself, I'm the oldest of 8 in a family of famous fine art dealers. No one taught me about cow manure, the value of cow manure. No one. I had to learn that all on my own, as you did. But what I find very interesting, with all the different modalities we have today, in the age of technology available to us, right? Insofar as producing energy, how in the heck did you come upon biogas? I mean, seriously, that is like, that's got me very befuddled. Whoa, baby.
Okay, so again, this all circles back to my first child. So my daughter, she just had an aversion to touching soil. So I figured, like, well, if I could get plants on the deck, that's a start. So I got a vertical aeroponic garden called the Tower Garden. And, as a speech pathologist in a preschool, of course, you need a side gig to bridge your financial gap. So I was selling the Tower Garden as my side gig instead of seeing patients after work because I had to be home for my daughter. So I was at Clearwater Festival. It's down in Westchester, New York. They used to have it every single year. Pete Seeger was there every year. It was a beautiful event. And so I had my Tower Garden there. And then a student comes up to me and says, "You have to meet my professor." And I was like, okay. And then a second student came up, "Oh, my professor needs to see this." And then, I had all these students coming up, giving me a business card for T.H. Culhane. And finally, the man shows up at my booth and he said, "This is perfect. We're going to run slurry from an anaerobic biodigester through this, and it produces gas, and it's using cow manure, and it's going to run through this vertical aeroponic unit, and you're going to grow your own food." And I was like, that sounds fantastic. Can I have your credit card number? But in the end, we cultivated this relationship and this understanding that biodigesters are, very simply put, like an animal or like a stomach, where it digests our food waste and it puts out a liquid fertilizer. So his concept of like using vertical aeroponics or hydroponics with the liquid fertilizer from the biodigester was something that was just meant to go together. And I did the opening of the state sustainability program at Mercy College in 2014 with Dr. Culhane, and joined with other people and helped to formalize establishing the nonprofit status for his nonprofit organization, Solar Cities Inc., which is solarcities.solutions. You can find that on the web. But, as crazy a story as that sounds, it was something that happened very quickly. And then the next thing I knew, he brought the students to my house and said, your basement is perfect for the world's first basement biodigester. And now we've had a biodigester in our basement that connects to our kitchen sink, producing free cooking fuel, free fertilizer, free septic assist because it overflows into the septic system now for 6 years. And I think it was just being willing to listen to a new idea and being able to take a leap of faith is something that was, I didn't know it at the time, was something that my family really needed me to do, was to take that leap of faith, because I had no idea what a biodigester was, and I had no idea how it all worked. And I just decided to go on faith because, he seems so enthusiastic, but also because I knew it had microbes in it. And that was something that I needed for my child, was to be able to interact with microbes, because she was not willing to go down to the garden. So if I got those microbes in the vertical aeroponics with growing the food, that would be like another way to, improve her microbiome as well. So again, it all comes back to microbes and following your gut sometimes. There's a reason why that saying makes sense.
That's because I was muted. Oh, the miracles of modern technology. What can you do? I'll have to cut that out. And I go, cut it out. But what I was saying was that the gut is our second brain. I mean, it's got such plays such a big part in our body. Our immune system, is all in our gut. And that's the same as the earth. The earth needs the microbes because the earth is a digester as well. But you say a big circle. It's so funny because after Lonnie gave me the name Solar Cities, that you were a board member, correct?
Yes.
On Solar Cities, I go and Google Solar Cities, and I find that they have 12 plots in the Tampa Bay, St. Pete's area. And that's exactly where I have landed. I have plopped right here. And I got to tell you, it still rings in my ear when I told you what's going through the eggplant factory's waste stream. And all you said was, that's a lot of fuel. I know.
Yes, it's all about how you think about it. Perspective means everything.
Now, you also, is it that you teach others how to create biodigesters in their own home, or do you have a kit that people purchase? Instructions? How does that work, Kathy?
So I am not a biogas builder. I am a biogas teacher.
Teacher.
So what I am mainly focused on with my home business, hvvf.net, is providing educational materials to both schools and sites internationally and here in the United States in a format that is participatory and makes sense and is accessible to people. My background in education really got me focused as to like what I felt like my purpose was and what was really important that I could be doing to contributing to the field of small scale biogas. Because when I first started, I was basically provided with two biodigesters by T.H. Culhane. And then he said, okay, go on the Solar Cities Biogas Innoventors and Practitioners Facebook page and interact with the page and they'll answer your questions. And I was like, okay. So I pose a question. I say, I have no gas. I get like right off the bat, like 6 different responses, all from very well meaning men that give me advice. And I start doing everything that they tell me to do, literally everything.
Yes.
And then they start getting in an argument with each other because they
Oh
disagreed
God,
with
that's
one
fun.
another. And it was a big, huge mess. So essentially, I started off with my biodigesters June 1st. By the time I got to the end of the summer, I still had no gas because I was listening to everybody's advice and doing a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't need to do. And I just decided one day I was going to gas test the gas bag. And I blow it up, I put soap on it, and I put a toddler on top of the bag. And sure enough, I had a leak. It was a leaky gas bag the whole time. There was nothing wrong with my biodigesters. And so that experience taught me that it's not enough just to deliver a biodigester. And it's not enough just to provide a handout. It has to include like a constant feedback loop of support and understanding of what I already knew. Like I already knew how to take care of a baby. I already knew how to, deal with somebody who has an upset stomach. I mean, I already had a whole bunch of skills that were perfectly applicable to taking care of my biodigester that I was disconnected with. And so what I try to do is I try to reconnect people to things that they're already good at that correlate with taking care of a biodigester.
I'm here.
You there?
I had to take
That's
a
okay.
slug of water.
That's all right. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's really pretty. So the way you do, so you're, and what I'll need you to do is any links you want me to put in the show notes,
Sure,
send the
sure.
list to where they need to go. But you have educational classes and webinars, correct?
Yes, I do. And I use a teaching method called participatory design. And what's special about that is we start off with the understanding that you, know everything you already need to know about small scale biogas. And it's my job as the facilitator to help you make those connections. So I always start with asking questions, finding out like what are some of some of the rough spots, like you're cooking on a glass top stove and you don't like that because it doesn't heat up fast enough. Okay, like what are the benefits, what's working, what's not working, what would you like to change? And by having these conversations, we come to conclusions that might not always end up where we thought we might end up. Like some people might be more geared to like starting with a solar cooker instead of a biodigester. There's pluses and minuses to both. And I feel like it's so important that we have to start with conversations and asking those questions.
That is a great way of going about it. It really is something. Listen, what just popped in my head was the swarm. Before we started this interview,
Yeah.
Kathy's bees started to swarm. Are they there? Are they there? Let's see.
They're still hanging out
They're
on
still
the
hanging out.
box. Yeah, I
Show
have
them. You got to
them
show them on the
right
box.
here. Oh, okay, hang on. So
And if you
get
don't know what a
up.
swarm of bees is, just Google that because everyone can do that, right, Kathy?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is really something to
Oh,
behold.
it is.
So they are, and they are thinking about swarming. So they had already produced a queen cell, and there was already a virgin queen that was born, and she's running around in there like a banshee right now. And so the mother is getting ready to leave the hive. And like once she leaves with a good portion of the hive, then the princess is going to fly out for her mating flight. She will mate with no less than 8 drones. So we have amazing biodiversity of bees in this area. We have combination of Russian, Italian, some bug bass. So we have really wonderful winter hardy bees in this area, and she's going to get all of that diversity through all those other drones. And she literally was going to fly up to the sun, and the other drones are going to find her. So that could happen literally any moment now because they are fully ready to go. We'll see.
They
We'll see
are
if we're
so,
lucky enough to see
uh,
that happen.
that is so, they are so ready to go. Even if we don't see it, when you see it, do a little video if you see it,
Oh,
and
sure.
send it.
Sure.
I'll stick it in the show notes. So, okay. So I've just started listening to this podcast and I've listened to it all the way to the end. Now, what do I do? Now I want to get started. What do I do?
Okay. Well, it depends on like what level you want to get started. To like learn more about small scale biogas, you can certainly contact me through my website, hvvf.net. If you are interested in like going a level up and you need biogas accessories, you can certainly find accessories through solarcities.solutions. They have like a biogas boutique that I believe is still up, that you could buy things like biogas storage or pump through. But really, if you want to be doing something with like STEM education through schools, solar cooking. I am perfectly capable of like getting people started with that as well. But, two great resources is solarcities.solutions and then hvvf.net. And the wonderful thing is that there are small companies like popping up all over the place that ship directly to your house, like Home Biogas is a company based in Israel where they could like ship you an out of the box biodigester for like under $600. So, deciding do you want something that's going to be seasonal and out of the box? Do you want to do a do it yourself project? Or do you even want to like go further up in expense, and convenience, which is this other unit called the horse. And that's like another small scale level biodigester. And um, it costs as much as a Tesla. It costs $75,000. But literally, it is like in a shipping container and it's like an all in one biodigester unit. So there's lots of great ways to start.
My
First
digester,
great way is asking questions.
my digester is going to be called the Dragon. Oh,
Oh, I love it.
in the belly of the beast. Those skins are going to go in the belly of the beast. Well, how can people get in touch with you directly, Kathy?
Okay. They can go directly to my website. I have a Squarespace where they can contact me at hvvf.net, which is Hudson Valley Vertical Farms. We have a vertical aeroponic greenhouse and a wintertime CSA here in the Hudson Valley.
That will be podcast 2, vertical farming. Vertical farming with slurry.
Hey, the
You
best way
gotta
to do
love
it.
it. You got it. Thank you so much. It was great meeting you finally. I mean, because just as I left the Hudson Valley 5 years ago. So it was
Mm-hmm.
just as your installation was completed. So
Oh,
yes, I left 5 years ago. But Lonnie would talk to me about Kathy Puffer. You got to get in touch with Kath. Thank God she did. Oh, dear God. Thank you so much for your time, my friend.
thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate
And
it. I
looking
appreciate it.
forward to more conversations.
Sounds great, honey. You be well.
You too.
Alrighty. Bye now. Well, there you go.
Oh, so I don't need to leave? You just stop the recording?
I'm going to stop the recording.
Oh,
It's okay. I can shut it off. There's the pause. Stop recording.